the busiest man in sports show business right now, kind enough to call in from New Orleans, Mike Tirico. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm not busy compared to you.
Stop it now.
Come on.
No, I mean you're going from Yankee Stadium, probably touching back to say hi to the family, and then heading off to New Orleans to call a Thanksgiving night game. Essentially, that's your week, right?
The family got to come to New York for the game. It was a good time.
Okay.
My wife's a Syracuse alum also, so we got to see the Irish do a number on Syracuse, and then up to the studio do the show on Sunday night with Tony and Rodney, and home for a day. And now here we are in New Orleans, Thanksgiving. Look, it is. It's fun to be part of football on Thanksgiving. Look, the number one thing everybody likes to do is be home with your family on Thanksgiving. There are a lot of people who do have to work. And calling football games, I did a bunch of them during college football and 2 of the last 3 years the NFL. If you're not home watching football, there's nothing like being a part of that experience for folks at home. So really looking forward to it tomorrow night.
And it's do or die for the Falcons, Mike. There's no doubt about that. 4-6, go to 4-7 in that division, and certainly in a conference where there's a ton of gridlock at 5-5. That's a problem.
You're right, Rich. And if you play it out for Atlanta, you know, the back end of the week, the Sunday nighter that we have, that Al and Chris will have with Green Bay playing Minnesota. If you think Green Bay wins that game and the Lions beat the Bears, and you get a bunch of people, all of a sudden you start getting a stockpiling of teams that are 5-5 or 5-1 or 5-6. And Atlanta wins. That's the best hope they have to be a part of that wild card run down the stretch. I'll tell you, the game that really hurt them will be the Cleveland game. The game they lost 2 weeks ago to Cleveland. They were building momentum. Remember, we saw them the opening night. They lost to Philadelphia to start the season. They have the losing streak in there. They're 1-4, and then they win 3 in a row. And you feel like here they come. You know, if they can get a couple here, they're going to be right in the wild card mix. Lose to Cleveland, and then the Dallas game on Sunday was a good, close game. And at the end of the game, the Cowboys made the drive downfield to get the field goal. And Dallas is playing well. You know, you see it every week. You watch the games with your guys, just like I do with Tony and Rodney, getting set for football night. You start to watch Dallas. A week, I guess it was 10 days ago now. That Sunday going into the Philly game, Rich, you think, okay, Dallas is done here. There's no way off the Monday night loss to Tennessee, they're going to go to Philly. Eagles are on a bye week. They're not going to beat the Eagles at this stretch. No way. They beat them. Then they win last week against Atlanta. Washington has the injuries up front, and then to Alex Smith. And that Dallas is probably the team that looks like the favorite in the NFC East. It's such a strange league this time of year. Things can switch so fast.
It can. I know. Certainly since the Saints just beat the brakes, as our friend Stewart would say, off of the Eagles. And, I mean, you've called many a game, special game in the Superdome, the reopening, the night of, obviously, the Gleason block punt,
right,
and all the Monday night football games that you were able to call in that building. It seems to me Breeze is playing the best he's ever played, and this could be the best Saints team he's ever quarterbacked with Sean Payton, Mike.
It's ridiculous to think about that, Rich. And then you think about this. Other than Michael Thomas, can a good football fan, a guy who watches NFL Network during the week, a guy who watches the Sunday games, a gal who watches the Sunday night football game, can you name other Saints wide receivers?
I know Eagles fans know who Traquan Smith is. I know, but other than that, you're right.
But even Traquan Smith is not like a guy who came out of Alabama. So
right.
no knock on UCF and the run they're having right now and all that. He was part of that team last year. Comes in as a third-round rookie. But, you know, probably more people could identify Calvin Ridley of the Falcons as a rookie impact wide receiver than Traquan Smith. But the point is to what you asked in the question. Breeze and Peyton together have been absolute magic. And not just for 1 year or 2 years. As we get to this era now where after Monday night, people feel like the game has changed and this is the new NFL, these guys have been rolling at this kind of pace when they've had the right group around them and healthy since 2006, since those two come together and that reopening you mentioned of the Superdome and that special season they had, and they are still doing it. And I'm excited when I get off the phone with you to go over to their practice and go visit with them because those guys always get me excited about football and the trends in the game and the new concepts. They're as good a head coach quarterback marriage on the offensive side of the ball as we've ever seen. That's giving a nod to Belichick and the defensive stuff over the years.
Mike Tirico here on the Rich Eisen Show. And before you you head off to that practice, I do want to hit you on a couple other items, including Notre Dame. You were at the mic for week 1, still only Michigan's only loss. Notre Dame has still not lost a game this year. How good do you think this Notre Dame team is compared to other teams that you may have been watching on TV like the rest of us here, Mike?
Rich, I think they're really good. I do. I don't know if it's because they are not in – look, but most of the conversation in college football, and this is said about friends and with absolute 100% respect and care for a lot of good people, a lot of the conversation around college football emanates from ESPN's shows. I don't think a lot of the guys see Notre Dame enough to appreciate them because they're not on the network on a regular basis. We have 7 of their games during the year. I go back to the Georgia game last year that they lost, 20-19 in South Bend. And I remember saying, as we walked out of the booth, Doug Flutie and I were walking, I said, Doug, Notre Dame's a lot better than I thought they were because they can hang on the field with a Georgia team that I think can go a long way this year, and they got to the playoff and played that epic game. So this is a pretty good Notre Dame team talent-wise, and as the year has gone on, people are seeing more and more and more of that. Their front four has been good. They've got 2 very good linebackers. Julian Love, their corner, is going to be one of the finalists for the Thorpe Award. He's an outstanding cornerback. They've had good safety play. And when Ian Book came in at quarterback, he's a kind of a Drew Brees-like guy. He's about 6 foot. He gets the ball out on time, ridiculously on target. He leads the nation in completion percentage. And he has done a terrific job of allowing their receivers and their skill players to grow. Do I think they can beat Alabama? I don't know. Do I think they can beat Clemson? I don't know. I know those 2 teams are a notch above, but I think Notre Dame will be very competitive on the same field with those teams. I don't think they're outclassed in any way. And Michigan's defense has been good since the jump, and they were good in the second half of that game, too.
Yeah, I know.
And Notre Dame beat them with the guy who's not their starting quarterback anymore and without their best running back. So that should say everything you need to hear about the quality of Notre Dame. And I'll say the last point on them, Syracuse's offense since Dino Babers has been there, other than one game against Clemson, they've moved the ball against everybody. They've moved the ball. They've gained yards. They were shut down. I know their quarterback was hurt, but they were shut down. And I've never seen Syracuse's offense under Babers not be able to move the ball, even on really good teams. So every bit of evidence so far is Notre Dame is closer to 2 than they are 4 right now in my book.
Well, I know we established, Mike, at the top of our conversation that you've been on the road for a bit, but, we have everyone who has listened to us converse before knows that you make your home in the state of Michigan.
I do.
What's the sense? Big week here. What do you think the sense is here?
Mega huge week. Rich, I hate to say it's a pivot point for the Harbaugh era at Michigan because I think Jim's going to be there for a while. That's just a gut. I don't know anything, but I just feel like it's an important game for them. They have everything going now. This defense is terrific. Ohio State is giving up yards like nobody's business. Is the strength of Ohio State, they're going to win games by outscoring people. Can they outscore Michigan? So it puts the onus on Michigan's defense to come up big. And if Ohio State's scoring, and this is what I'm going to be interested to see, let's say the Buckeyes score a few touchdowns early, and it looks like it's going to be a game in the 30s, not a game in the 15s or 20s, right? Mm-hmm. Is Harbaugh going to let Michigan be aggressive on offense? Or is it going to be, let's protect this game with power run, that kind of stuff? I'm fascinated to see that. If Maryland can hang 50 on Ohio State, Michigan should be able to put up big numbers. So the test to me, Saturday, can your Wolverines, Rich, be open, dynamic, and explosive with the ball and play calling on offense? That is what I'm dying to see noon Saturday.
I'm not going to lie to you, Mike. I'm vulnerable right now. I'm a very vulnerable adult man.
Are you worried?
Of course. Are you kidding? Because you point out, I mean, you're right. Nobody knows what Jim Harbaugh's shelf life is going to be. I think it's going to be a long time. We had his brother John on the show yesterday, and we're talking about how his dad and his mom are probably going to have Thanksgiving, and they live next door to Jim, right? They live next. So I mean, you can't beat that in this day and age. As you talk about, you're bringing your family on the road. I mean, sports life is a great one, but family life is sometimes takes a back seat, certainly in the coaching world. But when you talk about pivot points, you're right. I mean, this is it. This is the should happen moment. This is the time for it to finally happen moment. And if that doesn't happen, I don't even know. I can't even finish the sentence, is all I'm saying.
It'll be tough. Here's the thing on the longevity of Harbaugh, just from my view of being around, living in Ann Arbor for the last 19 years, knowing Jim for about that long, and covering him all the way back to his playing days and getting to know him. I think there are two guys who are among those, if not the only two people, on Jim Harbaugh's personal Mount Rushmore. And that's his dad and Bo Schembechler. Mm-hmm. And I think he's got the chance to be both all in one in the Michigan job. He has a chance to be the all-time legendary coach at Michigan who made Michigan football again, right? And his dad was a long-time beloved coach, and you talk to anybody who played for Jack Harbaugh or coached with him, and they swear by him. And they do a podcast together. Jack Harbaugh's around that team all the time. I went to see them earlier in this year. I spent more time talking to Jack than I did to Jim. I got more information out of Jack than I did out of Jim, to be honest with you. I think those are the two guys that he just holds as role models for his life, and I think he wants to be like them, and I think he's got the chance to do it all in one job at his school, a place that he loves, and his kids are going to the same elementary school he did in Ann Arbor, and he's at the same church that he went to, and his parents are there, and all that. So I think he wants to be there long term. I don't think this game's a complete referendum on that,
right,
but I do think it's important to continue the process. This is the year to beat Ohio State because they've got everything going. Ohio State has its turmoil. They have their struggles defensively. Don't give – if you're – my advice to Michigan, like they need it, my advice to my Michigan fan friends, don't let your team be conservative offensively. It's a game where Shea Patterson needs to be aggressive. They need to be aggressive offensively. Everything you've held back all year, go do it. Take the game. Don't let Ohio State deliver the punches in this one. And I wish you luck Saturday, Frank.
Have a great cast Thursday night, Mike. Me, the whole family, all the country will be settled in, so enjoy it. Thanks.
Thank you, pal. Happy Thanksgiving to you and Suze and the kids. Enjoy.
Yes.
We'll get out to LA and see y'all soon.
I look forward to it. Thanks. Same to you, Mike. That's Mike Tirico.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.